love that. Nice. Something I noticed throughout, and it's a theme that kind of goes throughout your book, is your relationship with Black women, and kind of that inspiration, representation. What is, what is the influence of Black women on your life, and how has the representation of having them in different leadership positions, but also throughout your life to kind of guide you, but also, I think the one thing that stood out the most to me was the imagery you start out with at the beginning of the book. It's talking about images of Black women actually shaped your experience and was the change agent. So as we talk about water, it was almost as Black women represented that fluidity and that moment of change and kind of that force that you needed to push you into a new kind of era of your life. So what has the influence of Black women been on you?
I grew up with Black women. I grew up with, it was just me and my mom. And my mom is a Black woman. And my mother comes from a big family. She had 13 brothers and sisters, 6 sisters, 7 brothers. So I have a lot of aunts. My mother also worked at Spelman College, where she retired, and she was there for over 39 years. Yeah. So when I was growing up, I got a chance to meet and talk to people like Johnetta Cole, Pearl Cleage, Gloria Wade Gales, Beverly Guy Sheftal, Ayoka Chinzira. Like all of these people were in my sphere. So that was amazing. And then I went from Spelman to working at Essence Magazine, I worked there under the tutelage of Susan Taylor. I don't know if but she was the editor-in-chief, and Susan is like all the things. So I feel like I've always seen the power and the beauty of Black women. And I do think that representation matters. So seeing them, I am sure, has given me some courage and some sense that if they can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah. Sure, I love it.
Yes.
So I kind of want to bring us all the way home. So this is your memoir. We heard about the fluidity of water. We heard about your change. We heard about how you got here. We heard about how some of your representation, and you ended with representation matters. What are you saying to the next generation with this book? What message do you think you're leaving us with? What do you think you're representing? What did you want to get out? What message was most important in thinking about, you wrote your story in the water, and it's still continuing because, like all things, water is ever flowing and doesn't have boundaries. So what message is it that you want to leave us, one, the reader, but just the general audience with, that we can kind of move forward and take?
Thank you. Yes, good question. I think the ancestors are calling us right now. I think it's time for a reckoning. And I think many of us are being called, and many of us are answering that. It's time for us to heal this space. So I want people to take that away, that it is time and that it is happening. There's so many warriors in the space, warriors that have been working over centuries throughout the world in all kinds of different fields, and they're adding to this moment that we're in now. So I think that's one thing that I want people to take away.
Yes.
And I also, there's a way that the transatlantic slave trade, one of the most monumental events in human history, and one of the least studied and least understood, I think, events in human history, that event changed everything. Like there is a way that Europe, Africa, North America, South America would not be what they are today if not for the slave trade. I think for us to understand where we're going, we have to understand that moment in time. And I also think that this is not just about understanding pain and trauma. It's about understanding also the ways that we're connected. There's a way that because of those 12,000 voyages, or it was more than 12,000 voyages, but those 12,000 ships, because of them, our 4 continents are intertwined in a way that cannot be undone. Like the transfer of cultures, beliefs, religions, ideas, people, like we are a part of each other. And if we start to look at that moment in history in that way, seeing that we're connected to each other, could that change then how we think we're responsible for each other? It's time for us to think about ourselves newly and differently. So I hope people get that from the book. And then the last thing that I hope people get, I didn't say this earlier, but when I decided to tell stories about diving with a purpose and to follow them, I did say earlier that I had a job. But because the ancestors were calling, I quit that job. And I did not have an assignment. I didn't have funding. I didn't know how I was going to do it. But I felt like I wanted to do something. And this kept calling me. It kept pulling me forward. And so I took the leap. And what I hope, as people are reading the book, if there's some passion in your life or some curiosity, that you follow it and that you don't be afraid to take a leap. Trust that the universe has you if the idea has come. So I hope that that's there too.
That's amazing. What I'd like to do is just open it up. If we have any questions from anybody in the floor who would like to ask Tara. Okay, Ayana's ready. Yes.
I would love for you to share with us your most memorable dive experience.
Around the shipwrecks or just in general?
Just in general. Yeah, because you said it was transformative, and I want to hear what that experience was for you.
So I'm thinking of one. It was transformative, but in a slightly traumatic way. This is early on when I was still learning how to dive. And I went for a dive in Sri Lanka. And there, I mean, the quick story is that a piece of my finger was bitten off by a triggerfish because I got too close to the net. So I literally ended that dive with, yes, blood dripping down the water. But I felt like I was initiated. Like I actually felt like, as a real scuba diver, answer that. Yes.
And scare people away now.
Yeah. On a less traumatic note, one dive that really meant a lot to me was a dive in Costa Rica. There are 2 shipwrecks there. It's the Frederica's Cortes and the Christiana's Quintus, which are Danish ships that wrecked there in 1710. So there's a thought that like Costa Rica did not participate in the slave trade. Yes, it did. And those ships are evidence that even though the ships were sort of blown there by accident, but there was slave trade in Costa Rica. But I got to dive there and I got to see the anchor that was a part, so they are 90 I think 9%, it's confirmed that it is that ship, but it's not 100%. So we have to say like likely. And again, the scientists in the room would be like, okay. But it's more than likely those ships. And diving down in a space where all of this happened, I don't know. Maybe some of my other colleagues and friends here have had different experiences. I know some have expressed when they dive on these ships, these shipwrecks, that it's really traumatic and hard and sad. I will say that when I dove in Costa Rica, I felt such power under the water.